assume we are live. Okay, we are live. Alright. By schedule, I am off by 1 hour and 10 minutes. Wow. Alright. Well, I guess I'll start coding. Not gonna do too much introduction. If you don't know, this is a project I'm working on as a team with a group of other people, just for fun. It's a survival wave-like shooter for Android. That being said, I will get started without anything else, as most videos are archived at Programming Included, so if you want to know more, you could always watch the archive videos there to learn more about what we're doing. Okay, so today, what I want to focus on is audios. So last video I was doing the managers and handler classes, and they were in charge of the texture and the sprites, and they work fairly closely in order for them to for the game to work. That being said, there are some things that I might decide to change later on in the development course, but for now there's nothing that I remember that I need to change off the top of my head. That being said, I do recall something I need to do, but we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, if you have any questions on these classes here, handler, manager, and their associated texture managers and sprite handlers, again, watch the archive videos. Alright. So today I want to start working on the audio portion, and the reason is because once we get the audio portion going, we'll be able to actually get some logic connected with the engine and start seeing actual stuff appear. Oh my goodness. That being said, my original plan was to extend the handlers and managers for the audio. But a quick skim on the API for libgdx, it is intriguing to say the least. How libgdx does it is, first it has its own asset manager, which is something that I am pretty much using in a way, but I'm creating my own, and the reason is because I want to be able to, learn from this experience and for others to learn as well. And Asset Manager has this sound loader and music loader class, but I checked libgdx API and I found an interface for audio, and apparently there's an audio device that I can utilize. So I'm going to try to find out exactly what this class does, and what the difference is between this manager and this audio device here. Let's see. Encapsulates an audio device. Okay, standard kilohertz. That's usually what you have for, at least for my MP3s anyways. It's around this kilohertz, so it's fine. Use the right samples. Okay, so it seems the audio device is the actual thing that plays the audio. Maybe. I'll double check. What I'm worried about right now is that the audio device would be a subsection of audio. Okay, let me update something here on my Twitch. Turn that into audio. Game dev. Yes. Update. Okay, so just change my Twitch settings, so hopefully people will see this. Okay. Let's see here. Audio device. Okay, it does not seem like it. Never mind. No. So how audio device works is, I think it's just a direct class into your audio driver, and so handle that so you could write audio directly in. Hence why if you go to the audio device, there's the write samples, which is a very low end function. So nope, I guess my first experience, what am I doing? My first experience intuition thing serves correctly. I still need to create a manager. Now, if you missed my manager video or just skimming through the videos, another reason why I'm rewriting it is because if you look at the sound loader or just any load code, they're usually fairly complex. Actually, no, not this. The asset manager itself. It is huge, and it's really, really good. It's well coded, and it gets the job done. That being said, it is way too complex than what is necessary for our project. Hence why, another reason I'm recoding this. Obviously, the main reason is for me and our group to learn this process. Okay. If this is the case, then what I'll need to do is extend manager and handler class for the audio/sound. Let's see here. Now I just need to know which one is the resource and which one is the container. The sound is a short clip audio that could be played numerous times in parallel. Okay. Sound instances are created via a call to audio. Alright. Audio. So it's an interface. So that means I need something to call this with. Okay, what about music? A music represents a streamed audio. Alright. The interface supports pausing, resuming, and so on. Okay. So it seems, basically, music is the thing that allows you to pretty much listen to an audio directly from the disk. It streams from the disk, while sound is loaded into the memory. So basically, that means if I load an entire symphony or sonata that's 20 minutes long, that will probably take up my entire memory, which is not good, especially if we're trying to design for Android. Sound is very good if we're going to do some blasting audio or something like that. Okay. It would seem I just need a manager for sound, as sound will basically be accessed by multiple objects, while music will only exist when I load a state or just starting off a brand new section of the game. So I probably don't need to have a manager for this. Unlike what is provided in libgdx, I will just utilize this music whenever I load the game. So whoever is in charge of states will load manually the music. Alright. Let's see here. Double check. Okay, sound.new sound. Alright. Cool. It seems sound is sort of this neatly packaged thing where it doesn't have a specific container. It's just the resource and container together. Alright. Interesting. Yeah. So, slightly different from what I'm usually seeing. Like, for example, you usually have a sound class and then you have this, what do you call it? Audio inside the sound class, which will basically handle all the audio. But it seems like they merge the sound and the actual resource audio together, which is nice, I guess. That means I don't have to manage all the resources. Instead, it'll do it for me. But I'll double check that just in case. play. Okay. Just double checking if my audio is working. Okay. Perhaps it is here. Or what I can also do is usually what I recommend to my group mates is go to the wiki libgdx to check out how sound works in this thing. Sound. Let's see here. New sound. Yeah. Alright. Okay. So it seems it will not try to return the same sound. So if I call it twice, it should give me two different instances of the same sound. So load this audio twice into the memory, if I am looking at this correctly. And that is also why they need a manager for the sound class. So it's not neatly contained. It's somewhat very similar to a manager, except that everything's already packaged. It's a container and a resource at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the audio handler because it's pretty much near identical to a handler in terms of it being able to contain the actual resource, and it's able to release that resource for us. Now the question becomes, if I want the same audio. Okay, so it seems I can just get the sound by copying it through an equals operator. Alright then, let's get started. Sorry for the very awkward sentences, as when I'm thinking, my sentences usually become non-logical, as they're much more choppier. Alright, so inside handler, which is in my core project, I want to create a new class, and we'll call this audio handler. Actually, call it sound handler. That way we can distinguish it from music and sound. Alright. Oh yes, now I remember what I need to do. But I'll do that in the next video, I guess, or sometime today. Alright, handler. First off, we need to actually extend handler. Unless I made handler. Okay. I need to override this function. What other functions? That's it. Okay. Perfect. So require a constructor. What else do I need? Okay, overload. Return, let's say true for now. Okay. Parameterized. Should I parameterize this? Let's see here. What is the... Oh. sound. That import sound. Okay. Let's see here. What is the error? Do I need to have the template here for Java syntax? No. What am I doing? Let's see. Oops. My bad. Oh. Sorry. Still feel very weird right now. Okay. If you can't tell, my brain is not very functional today for some reason. Okay. So we have a sound handler. Most of the functions we already implemented in. Now we just need to say what happens if we want to delete a sound. We need to first check if that sound exists. In fact, I could probably just copy and paste the sprite handler code. Yes, I can. So instead of get texture though, or set texture, let's see, if we delete a sound, do we want a default sound? Yes, we do. So container.object, we want to set sound. Can we do that? No. Okay, we just equal it. But let's see. Yeah, we just equal it to the, let's see, to the get default container dot sound, or just container object. No. Yeah, container object. So we'll still have a default sound. So if we delete that sound, that default sound will be attributed to it. Container dot name, don't need to change the name. Okay. Let's see here. Resource needed. Resource deleted. Add container, get container. Sprite handler. If an object exists here, we want to delete it. So we delete the object. Once we delete it, we don't physically delete it. Okay. So what I need to do is actually add clear function, add hard reset function. Okay, so what I'm doing is, one of the problems with this is that if you call resource deleted, let's say, and I wanted to delete a resource, the problem becomes, what if I load a ton of resources and I realize I accidentally loaded the wrong resource, or I just play for a very long time. Every time I load a handler in and I try to reload it or delete it, I never actually truly delete that handler, because this internal array still has all those keys, even though they're all pointed to a default object, which means it minimizes the memory. that key is, this linked hash map is still increasing in size, and eventually over some time this will become really large. So what we can do are two possible things. We can add a hard reset to this function so that if, let's say, I switch a state and I know for sure that two states will never have interlapsing resources or containers, then I could just hard reset and delete everything. Or if, let's say that my resource let's see, or maybe it's just because I confused myself with how I designed this class. If that is the case, I might have thought of it here, this delete container. Yeah. Alright, never mind. Gonna actually do this. If you don't know, last couple of days I was fairly prepared for programming. This time I am not. I am thinking of this as I go along. So, yeah. So indeed, this function is called whenever we delete a resource, but since we never actually need to delete a resource for sound, there's no point in me attempting to create a resource deleted function for that, because sound is in itself a container and a resource class. So that means if I create a sound, I could literally just dispose it. So that means I need to return some final. Let's see if Java allows me to return a final object, so that way I can't change it. Okay, I cannot, because if I call dispose on the sound, it would still dispose the audio. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, this is very strange. It's a little bit different from what I'm expecting. And it also feels very different from the design choice of textures and sprites, which makes me a little bit confused. Let's see here. That means I should probably go back to the documentation. Whoa, alright. So I could return a long, which is an ID to that instance of that sound. Okay, so it's using audio device to play that sound, so I can modify it if I play that sound. Let's see. So should I load and not load the sound into memory every time I play it? Obviously that would not be a good idea, But if I create a handler for this, and let's say I load the sound, and I let every object point to the same sound location, anyone can call dispose, which makes my handler class useless. Let's see here. What I can do is check how dispose works. No. Is there anything that encapsulates sound, or can I create that myself? Let's see here. Nope, does not seem like it. Intriguing. So it seems libgdx's audio and graphics have two different implementation designs, or mentalities as some people call it. Alright. So I guess I'll just call new audio every time. So do I even need a handler? Since I can't return a final, because if I return a final to prevent people from adjusting the sound file, what ends up happening is I could still call dispose, which makes handler class invalid. If I try to create sound locally in each class or each object to handle its own sound, that means that every time I play that sound, it will load every time into memory. Perhaps I need to switch my design choice. Let's look into MGA here. So, what if I put audio and sound into the main? So that means every loop, it will check what action is done. No, that's not a good idea, because we don't know what action will be done. What else can we do? See, the problem is sound has a dispose function. Now, if sound didn't have a dispose function, it would have made this much simpler. Or if they were able to separate this. Let's see. What if we're able to look at the source code for sound here? Okay. Oh, interesting. Ah, I see. Okay, instead of passing the actual sound object, wow, okay, we could just pass a long, which is a ID referencing to that sound, and sound apparently is a class that will allow me to play that sound using the given unique ID. Can I do that? Let's see. Play, volume, resume. No, I cannot do that. What about audio device? Audio device. Nope. Okay, this is annoying. What can we do? In a time like this, it is time for pencil and paper. Okay, I'm gonna draw a box, attempting to narrate what I'm doing in front of me. Just kidding. Let's see. Here, let's see how the sound classes or should be used. In fact, what we can do is look at the asset manager. And let's see how it actually manages the sound. Which doesn't make sense because it should just play sound. So create a new sound, it would store it. Yeah, so even the manager class has the same problem. Okay. It literally creates a sound with new sound, which is fine, that's what we're about to do. But it will again return that sound object, and we could just call dispose. And the moment we call dispose, oh, the sound objects wouldn't work. So I guess it's just how they designed it, not what I would do, but okay. I guess this is what we need to do because we're using this type of library. Sound handler. What we'll need to do is we tell sound handler. That means there is no point in us telling resource that it's been deleted. In fact, there's really no point in sound handler to know that it's deleted a sound because we don't need to update anything. But we can do is actually call delete container, so that'll actually delete the address location of our handler class inside our linked list. So we learn true. We'll say if the sound exists or the sound handler has a sound object with the given name using sound exists, if container exists resource file name. If it doesn't exist, return false, meaning the resource doesn't exist, it doesn't need to be deleted or notified. If it does exist, get rid of it inside our internal container list, so we just delete container. And I definitely need to make a note of this in my comments. Let the sound handler know that been deleted due to the uniqueness. In fact, I'll actually put that in the class description. So we'll say, since the sound has been deleted, we'll delete the sound from the container. Different usage for this function. In fact, in MGA, that should be alright. Or what we can do is, instead of just letting someone dispose of it, someone can actually choose to call resource deleted, and what we'll do is we'll actually point that sound to a default sound that we set. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a good idea. Alright. What we can do is, much like the sprite handler, it's sort of redundant, but again, because we're trying to make this safe and we're trying to make it as easy as it is for our team members to not have a care in the world of how they're not have a care in the world, but just not worry too much about accidentally leaking something, what we can do, or deleting something, not leak. Java doesn't really have a leak. Oops. I want to get default container dot container object. So we'll get the default container. We'll point it to the container. Let's see here. So I create a container. Okay, so a container is a class, right? Yeah. So I'll literally access that class, and I'll modify the object such that it would actually point to that sound. Let me think. So suppose, let's say I create a sound via the handler, or I just call here, there should be add container. I add a container, and then see, it creates a object. Okay, if you can't tell, I'm actually drawing on my paper. Creates a sound object. It goes into the class. It's stored inside this linked list. The linked list keeps an address location of that sound object. Okay. In fact, I need to create a function called create sound, as add container will have to manually call something, and you'll see that in a moment. And we just need the container file name and name. So making this as simple as possible. Return true. So a sound object is passed into handler, or we just call the create sound, handler creates a new sound by calling the GDX related create new sound function. That address location is then stored inside the array list. So if no one gets that object, that the only reference to that object is inside the array list. And then what ends up happening is okay. If we have a get container, people will get the sound and it will point directly to that allocated memory and sound. But let's say I delete that allocated memory, then everyone will have some kind of blank. So we call resource deleted, and each one's low-code memory sound will now get pointed to another sound file called the default sound, which is still within our memory. Let's see. Is there a copy function or something so that I guess not. This is some sample Flappy Bird clone thing. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, his approach is a little bit different. Or his or her approach, sorry. Okay, I guess we'll just have to try it and see, because I'm not entirely sure whether or not how sound works internally. When I set one sound equal to another, does it actually copy? Does it point the actual? Okay, this is Java, so the location of the original sound gets copied over. All right. So then creating a new sound. Okay. Let's see. All right, we should be good. Me confusing Java and C++ again. So we can just do that. Nothing bad should happen. Just a new reference to the sound. And then now we could have a create sound function where we'll just call gdx.audio.create sound. Or is it new? Okay, I'm gonna check the reference. Let's see here, sound. Actually, no, not here. This one. So many tabs open. Gonna start deleting tabs. This one, gdx.audio.new sound. This is what we need. So we need container file name. Obviously, we need to first check if that sound already existed, so we don't load the same sound twice. If asset exists, container exists with that unique identifier, then we just want to return get container and the actual container name. Okay, this is coming back to me now. All right. And I say that when I type something wrong. Oh, of course. My bad. So we should return the actual new sound. Alright, cool. Return gdx.audio.new sound. There we go. So if the audio container exists, return the actual thing we have in our files. Else return gdx.audio.new sound. And obviously we can always inform the sound handler that something's been deleted, in which case it would set that sound into a default sound. Or someone can call delete container and actually wipe it off the face of the planet. Alright, cool. Obviously we could always create helper functions analogous to the actual underneath. So we'll just return get asset container. Get container. So this is just a helper class, a helper function. Really unnecessary, but gonna code it anyways in case someone doesn't look at the documentation, which I'll type for this really soon. Helper function for directly calling get container in extended class. There we go. So we get sound, it will return the container. Obviously if container doesn't exist, it will return the default container for us. So it's all neatly packaged, which is very nice. Now, obviously there's one final problem, which is that someone can always call dispose for the default sound. Which means, well, that seems to be the only problem that we will be facing for this project. So as of now, people can delete the default sound class because dispose doesn't seem to be safe. Actually, need this style. There we go. G sound files. Main thing to note is default sound be accidentally deleted via dispose method. Do not call that. The thing is, they're probably gonna call that anyways. So hopefully we'll never come to that. You know, I'll continue to think about how I can circumnavigate this problem, but for now it seems I can't fix that. Alright. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, if I recall, if I do Java return final, it still allows me to it doesn't mean static. Prevent dispose. Maybe Google will help. Probably not. Yeah. Alright. I guess now we just use the class. Slightly a disappointment. Would have hoped it would have been a little bit more elegant, or a much more elegant solution than what I currently have. But because of time, I guess we'll just continue on with our track along this game. One thing that I learned is that you never want to make everything as perfect as it can, because by the time you're done, you will never be done, because you always will find something that will try to perfect that code. So we're just going to leave that be. If, let's say, that I get a default audio and I start to have blank audios, the first thing I'll have to look is through here. That being said, it doesn't seem to pose too much of a problem, as sound seems to already have its internal ways of dealing with empty sound files, so won't get into too much problem then. Alright. So one of the things I wanted to talk about in this stream was part of my texture manager, actually. What is the problem here? Okay, then don't call that. One of the problems with texture manager is that there is no way for us to transfer one asset over to another state, which is fine for this game. But for people who want to be able to do that, what I wanted to talk about very quickly is that you can just set it like a sort of a smart pointer, in a sense, where basically you have an internal counter, and if that counter is 0, then delete it. If not, keep that object. Or you can also set it so that you could force delete it without ever increasing that counter, which is also alright as well. It's really up to your preference. Alright. Let's see here. So it seems I commented out a function here. Yeah. Get error resource object. So the thing with this function, manager, get error resource object, is I can't utilize it. Same problem with sound. That being said, I made a note that I could actually use a resource. And in fact, if I look at my handler, I should have a get error sprite somewhere here. And I do not need a texture name. Actually, okay, I'll use the texture name, never mind. Sprite handler. I should have a get error container, do I? No, I don't. Okay, that's alright. Since right now I currently don't really need an error, and I've rarely used that function, the sprite handler class. Sorry, the texture manager. Inside, I really use the get error texture function. Basically, what it does is, in the manager, there's an error object, and that is used, and that should be used internally. You know what? We're just gonna allow this function to exist. It's just that if we return it, the only people who are actually going to call this function are either the handler classes or some very low level code. The chances of this being called are very low. Even if this is called, we could safely assume that people may want to suddenly change the resource. Okay, so I could theoretically use a collections for an unmodifiable object. Should I do that? For now, let's say no, because it's too much of a pain in the butt to do. Yeah, not gonna do it. Since this project is fairly small and the problems presented as of now is not too much of a problem and not something I see in a foreseeable future, as those functions will rarely, if not ever, be called. And the getError function, we'll use it if people want to change the error texture in the middle of a game, let's say, which is completely fine, because textures must be set correctly prior to game release, or else there would be an exception thrown anyways. So we're good. Alright, if that is the case, we should be able to test out our audio sound. So we're going to try that right now. Sound handler is equal to, it's equal to new sound handler. Okay, what do I need to pass in? I need to pass in a default sound. So we're gonna call this gdx.audio.newSound. Was it? Let me check. It is called, or is it internal? Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste this code. So some default sound, let's call it, what shall we call it? I need to actually load sound in. Oops. And so I'm gonna do that. Let me get some music, some non-copyrighted music. That's probably important. Let's call it that. Desktop. Go into my programming folder and plop it right in. Gradle desktop for now. Bin. Let's put it here. It's called keyboard. Keyboard. Okay. Not sure if libgdx plays waves. If not, I'll convert it later. Okay, what else? What else you got for me, good sir? Let's see, we need a resource name. Alright. No. I'm just gonna check. Default container name, default file name, and the actual object. Okay. So container name, we'll call it default sound, and I will fix this shortly. And the file object, which is called keyboard.wave. There we go. So now if we see if it compiles first, just to be safe. Java application. Yes. Give me error. It did not give me error. Perfect. So I should be able to call that every time. Good. So what I'm gonna do is should be able to do sound handler dot create sound. Let's call it test sound. Container file name key. I'm gonna purposely type it wrong, which should give me that error audio. I'm gonna sound and snd dot play. Now, if this works, hopefully it does, there should be sound playing. Hopefully. Okay. Okay, it did not work. Maybe because it doesn't read WAV files. Okay. Let me see here. See if I could convert this into a playable audio. See if this works. Okay. Convert it into an MP. No, not MP3. What am I talking about? We need to do something much better than MP3. Let's do OGG. Yeah, let's do that. Nope. Okay, start converting. It's encoding. Done. It's on my desktop now. Yes. It's called keyboard OGG. Let's run this. No. Okay. Then we need to figure out what the problem is. First off, before I continue, I'm going to check libgdx supported audio. Oh, it does support wave. Well, crap. That's not good. Actually, there was one thing that I forgot to check, which is okay, first off, let's check if the function actually works. Afterwards, I think I didn't actually catch an error if a file given is wrong. So I'm going to try this. Yes, so it works. Audio is indeed playing. I'm not sure if the stream or just the video itself can hear it. And don't worry, it is non-copyrighted music. It's actually created by me, actually.